Let's be brutally honest for a second. You're an older guy. You've lived, built, failed, rebuilt. You know things. You've got presence, maybe even power. But lately, when it comes to younger women, something's off. The spark fizzles fast. She's smiling today, ghosting you tomorrow. And here's the truth no one's told you. It's not your age. It's not your grey hairs, your slower texts, or your taste in jazz. It's the invisible habits, the little things you're doing that quietly kill attraction, fast. You think you're showing interest, but she thinks you're trying too hard. You think you're being respectful. She thinks you're low status. And that confusion, that gap in perception, that's what this video is going to fix. Because once you understand how attraction really works for younger women and how your maturity can be your weapon instead of your weakness, everything changes. She leans in. She listens. She flirts harder. So before you send that next text, buy her that drink, or try to impress her with your resume, watch this first. Let's start with the most common mistake that older men make, and they don't even know it. Number 1. Don't try to play hero. Let's be real, when a younger woman opens up about her problems, especially emotional ones, your instinct might be to step in, fix it, and prove your worth. That's the hero reflex. It feels noble. It feels masculine. You're the man with wisdom, resources, and life experience. You know how to solve things, and you want to help her dodge pain you've already lived through. But here's the truth. The moment you try to rescue her, you shift the dynamic. You stop being the mystery, the man she's drawn toward, and you become safe, predictable, familiar, sometimes even paternal. That's when attraction quietly dies. Younger women are not looking for a therapist or a father figure. They're looking for emotional polarity. Masculine energy that doesn't flinch when things get messy, but also doesn't try to clean it all up. When you leap in to solve her chaos, what you're actually signaling is this: I need your approval. I need you to see me as useful. I need to be needed. That's not strength. That's validation, seeking disguised as protection. Let's take a classic example. She texts you late at night. Ugh, everything feels so heavy. You could respond like a fixer and say, what happened? Do you want to talk? You shouldn't go through that alone. On the surface, it sounds caring, but the subtext is, I'm available anytime. I'll always comfort you. You're my priority. And if she's still figuring out her own emotions, she will read that as you giving your power away. Now, let's flip it. Imagine you reply, sounds like a storm. Let it pass. You'll be fine. Calm, grounded, not dismissive, but detached. That tone, that stoic energy, that's you being her anchor, not her emotional janitor. The Stoic approach teaches us to observe chaos, not absorb it. You don't need to dive into her mess to prove you care. You care by staying rooted, by not letting her turbulence shake you. And ironically, that's what makes you more attractive. She sees that you can handle her without trying to handle her life. Here's another subtle layer. The more problems you solve for her, the more you encourage her to remain in that emotional loop, because it feeds attention, it feeds the illusion of connection. But you're not here to be her life coach. You're here to spark something deeper, something primal. When a man with presence listens but doesn't rescue, he becomes the challenge, and attraction thrives in challenge. You don't need to say yes to every call or rush to answer every emotional flare she throws your way. Sometimes silence is the most masculine response. Let her solve her own storms, and when she does, she'll remember the man who didn't try to fix her but made her feel stronger in his presence. I choose strength. Drop that in the comments if you've ever caught yourself being the hero and are done playing that role. It's time to stand firm in your energy. And if that hit you even a little, what comes next might sting even more, because the next mistake men make doesn't look like weakness. It looks like generosity. But in her eyes, it quietly screams insecurity, Don't miss it. Number 2. Never hold an alcoholic drink when talking to her. This one's going to sound small, but it hits deeper than most men realize. You're at a lounge, music low, lights dim, you're mid-conversation with a younger woman, and in your hand, a glass of whiskey, a beer bottle, or some casual cocktail. She's watching, and she's making subconscious decisions faster than either of you can articulate. Here's the thing, older men already carry a psychological weight. You represent maturity, control, life experience. And whether you mean to or not, everything you do either reinforces that or erodes it. So when you're holding a drink, especially during the first moments of interaction, it signals a few things you probably don't intend. First, it suggests distraction, like you need a social prop to feel confident. You're not fully present because part of you is sipping, pausing, adjusting. You've split your focus. She can feel it. Second, it hints at dependence. Even if you're not drunk, even if you just want something to hold, there's a primal part of her that reads, this man might need substances to relax, to engage, to unwind. That's not stability. That's not leadership. That's weakness hiding in plain sight. And third, this one subtle quietly places you and her on the same playing field, like you're both out just having fun. You're both just casually mingling. But that's not the energy you should bring as an older man. You're not the party, you're the presence. Now, let's flip it. Imagine you're standing there, empty hands, steady eyes, grounded posture. You're not clinging to a drink. You're not nursing anything. You're comfortable in silence, comfortable in stillness. That's power. That's control. And trust this, a younger woman notices. She feels that difference, even if she can't explain it. The absence of the drink becomes the presence of authority. It tells her, I'm not here to numb anything. I'm here fully. I'm listening. I'm leading. You don't have to be a monk. If you're on a date and already mid-meal, sure, order a glass of wine. No one's saying never drink. But the moment when the connection is being built, when impressions are forming, keep your hands free. Be the man who doesn't reach for crutches. Now, let's go deeper. According to Stoic thought, the man who needs nothing possesses everything. The second you show you're comfortable without stimulus, without props, without fillers, you signal a kind of internal sufficiency. That's rare, and women feel it. There's also a biological edge here. Younger women are wired to test for stability, for emotional clarity, and alcohol, even in small doses, creates unpredictable energy. You might think you're relaxed, but she reads it as, he's subtly altered, he's less precise, less sharp, and you don't want to give off blurred energy. Not when clarity is your weapon. This rule becomes even more important if you're in a social setting with alcohol present, a bar, a wedding, a networking event. Most men blend in by holding a drink, but the man who doesn't, the man who just stands tall, observes, and moves with purpose, he becomes unforgettable. And here's a little Stoic twist. Refusing the drink is a silent act of control, not over her but over yourself. In a world that rewards indulgence, the man who denies himself calmly, without making it a scene, irradiates power, not performance, real power. So the next time you're walking up to her, or she walks up to you, check yourself. Let go of the drink. Let go of the distraction. Speak with your eyes, your voice, your présence with a bottle in your hand. Be the man who doesn't need anything in his hand, because he already holds the room. Drop a comment below if you know it's time to show up with more intention. You don't need props. You don't need distractions. You just need presence. Type this if you're in. I choose clarity. And if this part hit home, stay close, because next we're exposing a behavior that seems generous, but in her eyes is pure repellent. You won't want to miss it. Number 3. Don't agree with everything. Let's talk about one of the biggest attraction killers that older men fall into, especially when talking to younger women: being too agreeable. At first glance, it might seem harmless, polite. You nod, you smile, you say, "Yeah, totally," to everything she says. You don't challenge her, correct her, or give your own take. And you might think, "I'm just being nice, I'm not trying to argue." But here's the uncomfortable truth. When you agree with everything, you become predictable, safe, and worst of all, invisible. Younger women aren't looking for a man who fades into the background. They're subconsciously watching for strength, for edges, for a point of view that doesn't bend just to win approval. Why? Because contrast creates attraction. If she says something bold and you just echo it, there's no tension, no spark, no polarity. Women, especially younger women, are biologically and psychologically drawn to men who stand grounded in themselves. Men who know what they think, what they believe, and aren't afraid to express it. You don't need to pick fights. This isn't about being a contrarian. It's about being real. You can disagree without being disrespectful. You can challenge her without dismissing her. And when you do it calmly, confidently, and without emotional reactivity, she'll feel it. Let's ground this in a simple example. She says, "I don't think relationships really need labels anymore. Mine." Now, if your instinct is to just nod and go, "Yeah, that makes sense," pause. Ask yourself, do you actually believe that? Or are you agreeing just to keep her comfortable? Try this instead. "I get why people feel that way, but I think clarity matters, especially if you value someone." Boom. Now you've taken a position, you've shown spine, you've maintained tension. That tension, that's what keeps her interested. It's important to remember women test boundaries all the time, often unconsciously. They say things not just to be heard, but to feel the weight of your response. If you always cave, she senses it. If you always agree, she questions your authenticity. And if she can walk all over your opinions, she won't respect you no matter how nice you are. This is where Stoic energy comes into play. A Stoic man listens fully, processes calmly, and responds from inner principlino, from a need to be liked. He's not triggered by disagreement. He doesn't react to silence. And he doesn't shapeshift to impress anyone. That presence is magnetic and very rare. So, here's the reframe. Disagreement isn't rejection. It's a sign you're paying attention. It's an opportunity to deepen the conversation. And more importantly, it shows her you're a man with a backbone, a mirror. Because if she wanted to date herself, she wouldn't be looking at you. Let's hear it below. Are you done being a yes man? Type this to anchor it in. I speak truthfully. And stay close, because the next mistake feels like connection, but silently drains your power. You'll want to spot it before it costs you everything. Number 4, don't lay all your cards on the table. Let me guess, you were taught that honesty is everything in relationships, right? And yes, honesty is essential. But timing and mystery, they're just as powerful, especially when it comes to attraction, especially when you're an older man engaging with a younger woman. Here's the mistake many older men make. You meet someone new, you like her, and you drop everything on the table: your feelings, your past, your plans, your vulnerability, all of it, at once. It's coming from a good place. You want to be clear. You want her to know you're serious. You want her to trust you. But to her, it doesn't land that way. To her, it feels like pressure, like a confession, like you're trying to skip the mystery and speed run to emotional intimacy. And you know what happens when there's no mystery? No chase, no anticipation, no attraction. Because here's a truth you need to sit with. Women fall in love in the unknown. They fall in love wondering how you feel, what you're thinking, where it's going. They lean in when there's space for curiosity. When you hand her the whole emotional blueprint of your mind and heart on day 3, there's nothing left to discover. and she quietly checks out. Think of it this way. Connection is like a fire. It needs oxygen to burn. If you smother it with everything at once, no air, no space, no room for imagination, it dies fast. This doesn't mean you should play games. You don't need to ghost her, or act cold, or pretend you don't care. That's childish. But what you do need is restraint. Emotional restraint, verbal restraint, strategic silence. Let her earn your stories. Let her pull things out of you over time. That pacing builds value. It tells her, this man knows his worth. He doesn't give it away to anyone. When you're talking to her, ask questions. Listen more. Share just enough to spark interest. Then pause. Let her feel that she wants more from you. That desire, that's where the pull happens. And here's something women sense almost instantly: desperation. When you overshare too soon, it often signals loneliness, neediness, or emotional hunger. She picks that up. Even if your words are smooth, your energy says, please like me, please stay, please see how good I am. Instead, you want your energy to say, I'm good with or without you, but I'm curious about you. That shift is everything. So, what should you keep close to your chest at first? Don't reveal all your past trauma in the first week. Don't unload your dating history or why your last relationship failed. Don't talk about how you've been waiting for someone like her. Let the story unfold. Let her come closer by choice, because you emotionally cornered her. Women want to feel chosen, yes, but they also want to feel like they chose you. That requires pacing. That requires mystery. That requires you holding a few cards behind your back, not to deceive, but to enchant. You are not a romance novel she can finish in 2 chapters. You're a man with depth, so act like it. Now let's hear from you. Ready to lead with strength, not oversharing? Comment below with, I protect my mystery. And don't move an inch, because what we're uncovering next flips the script completely. You'll want to be ready. Number 5. Never seek her approval. Let's get brutally honest. The moment you start chasing her approval, you've already lost her interest. It's subtle at first. You say something, then quickly glance at her reaction. You crack a joke and look for a smile. You offer a plan, but only if she's okay with it. You walk on eggshells, softening your edges, adjusting your opinions. Why? Because you're afraid of rocking the boat. You want her to like you. That's not strength, that's self-abandonment. And here's the thing, women don't respect a man who doesn't respect himself. Now, you might say, but isn't compromise part of any relationship? So a mutual compromise. But what we're talking about here is one-sided approval, seeking, and it's rooted in fear. Fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, fear of rejection. You don't need her permission to be who you are. You need your own. You see, women, especially younger women, are wired to test, not consciously. It's instinct. She wants to know if your confidence is real, if your masculinity is grounded, if your values are sturdier, if they bend every time she raises an eyebrow. And if you start molding yourself to fit her expectations, she won't think, wow, what a considerate guy. She'll think, if I can lead him, I can't trust him to lead us. Approval seeking might feel like politeness or empathy, but in her eyes it often reads as weakness. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to be dominant. But you do need to own your decisions. Speak with conviction. Make plans and stand by them. Disagree when you truly do. If she challenges you, don't fold. Respond with clarity and calm presence. The moment she feels like she's the one constantly setting the emotional tone, she loses polarity. Why? Because attraction is born from opposites. Masculine leadership and feminine response. Not two people both trying to read the room and ask for permission to exist. And here's the irony. When you stop needing her approval, you become far more attractive. Because then, your attention is a gift, not a need. Your presence is a choix, a demand. And your words, they carry weight because they don't beg for validation. So how do you break the habit? First, watch yourself. Catch those moments where you over-explain, backtrack, or change course just to avoid discomfort. Don't scold yourself, just notice. Then breathe into the tension. When she pushes back, when there's silence, when things get awkward, don't fill the space. Let it stretch. Let her feel that you're centered, not reactive. Finally, reclaim your frame. Your time, your opinions, your values, they matter. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be authentic, without apology. A man who seeks approval isn't seeking connection, he's seeking security. But relationships aren't safe by nature. They're vulnerable, alive. And the only way to keep her interest is to risk not having it. Because a man who can walk away is the man she never wants to leave. Let me ask you something. Are you done giving your power away? Then drop this in the comments. I don't need approval. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere. The next insight, it reveals a silent killer of attraction that most men never see coming. Number 6. Never overplay being aloof. Let's clear up a common lie that older men often believe when dating younger women. The less I show interest, the more attractive I become. Sounds clever, even tactical. But here's the truth. Overplaying aloofness doesn't make you mysterious, it makes you forgettable. Now don't get it. Twisted emotional self-control is powerful. Presence without desperation, sexy. But what we're talking about here is performance, not presence. Aloofness is a strategy pretending not to care, being unresponsive, offering dry replies, always too busy, keeping your face unreadable and your tone neutral in every interaction, thinking it makes you seem cool and in control. In reality, it builds no connection. Worsight signals one of two things, fear or disinterest, and neither of those turn her on. Especially with younger women who are often navigating uncertainty in dating, this over-calculated aloofness isn't just confusing, it's emotionally exhausting. She doesn't know if she should lean in or back off. She starts questioning herself. Is he even into me? Is he just playing me? Or worse, is he emotionally unavailable? The result? She detaches, fast. You've probably heard this before. Attraction isn't about what you withhold, it's about what you embody. So if you're trying to look emotionally distant just to seem more desirable, you're not leading, you're hiding. You're afraid of being seen. You're afraid of being hurt. You're afraid of showing value that might not be reciprocated. But masculinity doesn't flinch under that risk. It moves through it. Here's the Stoic take. You can be deeply present, even warm, without ever becoming needy. You can be interested without being desperate. You can express appreciation, desire, and even affection without chasing. So stop treating connection like a poker game where revealing your hand is a loss. That's not masculine. That's fear in disguise. What works better? Start with calm curiosity. Ask questions, listen deeply, respond intentionally. Hold steady eye contact, not to intimidate, but to show you're with her in the moment. Don't rush to reply. Don't flood her with attention either. Instead, make your presence felt through grounded energy, not emotional scarcity. And for the love of all that is masculine, text her like a man. No ghosting to keep the upper hand. No random breadcrumb messages. No playing cold when you actually care. You're not a character in a drama. You're a man with direction. If you're interested, let it show. But always from strength, never from need. And if she walks away, let her. Because aloofness should be natural detachment from outcome, not a tactic you wear like a mask. Let her see that you're solid, steady, intentional and, yes, capable of warmth. Because here's the twist. True emotional control doesn't mean withholding your emotions. It means choosing how and when you express them. It's not ice, it's fire with discipline. So, here's your challenge. Ready to stop the cold games and lead with quiet strength? Then comment below and claim it. I connect with power and stick around because the next mistake, it's the most seductive one of all, and it's killing attraction in ways most men don't even realize. Number 7. Don't dump your problems on her. Here's a hard truth for every man, especially older men dating younger women. She's not your therapist, she's not your mother, and she's not your emotional sponge. Now, don't misunderstand. Vulnerability has its place, but there's a razor-thin line between revealing a scar and bleeding all over her shoes. A younger woman might seem nurturing, curious, even empathetic when you share your struggles. She may ask, "What happened?" or say things like, "You can talk to me." And that's where the trap begins. Because if you don't know how to carry your pain with discipline, if every time you feel stress, sadness, or insecurity, you reach for her like a lifeline, then she stops seeing you as a man. She starts seeing you as weight. She doesn't feel excited to connect with you. She feels responsible for your stability. And attraction dies the moment she becomes the emotional parent. Now, this doesn't mean you have to be a robot. A real man isn't emotionless, but he is emotionally self-led. He doesn't explode his problems all over someone. He chooses what to reveal, when to reveal it, and how to reveal it with control, not chaos. Let me give it to you straight. You're not in her life to be a project she fixes. You're in her life to be a man who leads energy, not leaks it. So next time you're tempted to overshare about your ex-wife, your health issues, your financial stress, or your loneliness, pause. Ask yourself, am I saying this to connect, or am I unconsciously asking her to carry my pain? Because when you vent too early, too heavily, or too often, what you're really doing is begging her to co-regulate your nervous system. And that's not intimacy. That's dependency. Want to truly impress her? Show her strength through your frame. Mention a struggle with composure. Speak about challenges as chapters you're writing through, not wounds you haven't stopped licking. That's how Stoic men speak. For example, instead of saying, "I've been depressed lately, life's just too much," say, "This season's been heavier than usual, but I'm grounded in the process. I'm focused." See the difference? You're not hiding, you're owning. You're not dumping weight, you're demonstrating internal weight-bearing. Women feel that. It doesn't burden them, it pulls them in. Because that's what creates masculine safety, not perfection, but poise. Now, if you're already in a relationship and emotional sharing is part of your rhythm, good. But even then, manage your emotional hygiene. Don't turn every conversation into a therapy session. Don't spiral out loud. Don't test her capacity to handle your darkness. Your pain needs a purpose note, an audience. And let me say this clearly. If you need to break down, do it privately first. With a coach, with a mentor, with your journal. Because when you bring it to her, it better come wrapped in self-awareness and restraint. Otherwise, what started as sharing quickly becomes emotional pressure, and she will pull away. So ask yourself right now, are you carrying your pain like a man, or spreading it like a mess? If you're committed to leading with discipline, drop it in the comments. I carry my weight. And stick with me, because what we'll tackle next, it's the silent destroyer of masculine energy, and most men don't even know they're doing it. Number 8, never say sorry for everything. Let's get this straight. There's nothing weak about apologizing when it's necessary. But when you over-apologize, when sorry becomes your punctuation mark, you don't come across as kind. You come across as uncertain, weak, eager to please, afraid to offend. That's the last thing that stirs attraction in a younger woman looking at an older man. Because she's not drawn to guilt, she's drawn to gravity. Now think about how often you've said things like, "Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. Sorry, I was just asking. Sorry for taking up your time." Do you realize what you're doing? You're apologizing for existing, for having a voice, for wanting something. And when you do that, you're unconsciously telling her, my presence is a disruption. That's not leadership, that's submission. And here's the Stoic truth. A man who walks in his purpose doesn't need to shrink in order to be accepted. He doesn't pre-apologize for who he is. He makes space calmly. He speaks with measured conviction. And when he's wrong, he owns it once, with clarity. Then moves forward. No groveling, no repetition, no emotional inflation. Let's go deeper. Women, especially younger women, are exquisitely sensitive to power dynamics. They notice how you speak, not just what you say. So when you over-apologize, she hears this subtext. Please don't reject me. Please don't get mad. Please still like me. That kind of energy is not attractive. It's anxiety in disguise. And anxiety makes her feel like she's in control of your self-worth. You've just handed her the steering wheel. Now, let me give you a shift. Instead of sorry, say thank you when it's appropriate. You're late? Say thanks for waiting. You interrupt? Say thanks for holding space. You made a mistake. Say, I missed the mark there. Won't happen again. Do you feel the difference? One shrinks, the other respects. Women don't want a man who begs for forgiveness at every corner. They want a man who holds his ground, owns his space, and when needed, corrects course without losing center. Let's be clear, there are times when sorry is powerful. When you've hurt someone, when you've crossed a line, when your actions caused real consequence. But sorry only holds weight when it's rare and meant. If it becomes your go-to, your nervous tick, you've diluted it into background noise. So what's the alternative? It's called integrity. You speak directly. You move with calm confidence. And when a moment calls for adjustment, you adjust. No dramatics, no self-flagellation, no playing the puppy looking for a pat. Just correction, composure, continuation. Now let me ask you something directly. Do you say sorry when what you really mean is please accept me? Because if so, your work is not about fixing your vocabulary. It's about reclaiming your inner posture. You're not here to apologize for being in the room. You're here to own the room with quiet strength. If this is the kind of man you're becoming, I want you to comment right now. I speak without shrinking. And trust me, what we uncover next will confront the hidden habits that make even the most confident men lose all polarity in seconds. Stay sharp. Number 9. Never let her see you lose control. Let's not romanticize chaos. Some men think exploding with emotion shows passion. They think pacing, yelling, slamming doors, or ranting about life's unfairness will make her see how deeply they feel. But here's the cold truth. She doesn't feel closer. She feels unsafe. You might think you're opening up. She sees a man who can't hold his center. And when a younger woman looks at an older man, do you know what she's silently asking herself? Can he lead when everything goes sideways? If the answer is noif, she sees you unravel at the first sign of stress, conflict, or confusion. You've just killed the very thing she was most attracted to. Your perceived emotional mastery. Let's be real. Life will hit you. There will be setbacks, misunderstandings, moments of deep frustration. But those aren't reasons to lose your frame. They're opportunities to show her what kind of man you are when it counts. Because anyone can be charming when the sun's out. But when the storm hits, a stoic man doesn't shout. He tightens his grip on the wheel. He doesn't react. He responds. He doesn't beg, blame, or paniche, holds the line. And that, right there, is what makes her feel safe and drawn in even if she can't put it into words. Let's flip it. What happens when you do lose control? You text back in all caps. You demand attention. You vent your fears. You show her that her approval governs your internal stability. And in that moment, you go from being an anchor to another emotional wave she has to swim through. You were supposed to be her calm, now you're her storm. And don't confuse this with never expressing emotion. The point is how you express it. You can share disappointment without blaming. You can admit fear without collapsing. You can even cry without falling apart. But the man who knows how to contain himself commands far more respect than the man who erupts to feel seen. Self-control is not about suppression. It's about direction, channeling the fire through action, not outbursts. And when a woman, especially a younger woman, sees that you don't flinch under pressure, that you don't need to prove your emotions through theatrics, that your composure is earned, not faked, that's when her respect deepens. That's when her curiosity grows. That's when she starts thinking, this man moves different. Here's a practice for you. Next time something triggers you, delay your response by just 10 seconds. Don't rush to react. Breathe, observe your body, and then speak from the version of you that has nothing to prove. That space between stimulus and response, that's where your power lives. Remember, a storm can be loud and chaotic, but it's the mountain still and unmoved that commands the sky's respect. Now your turn. Drop this in the comments to show who you are becoming. I remain the mountain. And listen closely. What we explore next may hit closer than anything we've covered so far. You'll want to hear this. Number 10. Don't put her on a pedestal. Let's kill the fantasy. She's not a goddess. She's not perfect. And she's definitely not the missing piece that's going to fix your life. But too many older men, especially those who've been hurt, divorced, or lonely for a long time, treat younger women like they're some sort of salvation. And here's where everything collapses. The moment you worship her, she stops desiring you. This isn't about being disrespectful. This is about understanding psychology. The second she feels like you see her as some rare, flawless prize you'll never deserve, she can't trust your attention anymore. Because in her mind she's thinking, you don't even know the real me. You're in love with your own projection. That's the silent thought that breaks the connection. You see, pedestal energy always reveals one thing. You're placing her above yourself. You're admiring from below. You're chasing with your eyes wide, instead of seeing her clearly, flaws, moods, imperfections and all. And the truth is, no woman wants to lead a man emotionally. If she senses you'll do anything to keep her, say anything, become anyone, then in her mind, you've already handed her the power. And deep down, she knows it's not real power. It's a burden. She now has to be the stable one, the reasonable one, the grounded one. But that's what she was looking for in you in the first place. So here's the Stoic perspective. You can desire her without needing her. You can admire her beauty without turning it into worship. You can love her energy without thinking she completes you. What makes you magnetic isn't how high you place herits, how steady you stay in your own value. And I'll say this straight. If your life is empty without her, she won't stay. If your confidence depends on her choosing you, she'll pull back. If your sense of masculinity only shows up in her presence, she'll feel light and lose respect. Why? Because she doesn't want to be the reason you feel worthy. She wants to join a man who already is. So stop over-complimenting her like she's a celebrity. Stop texting her paragraphs like you're trying to earn her attention. Stop filtering your every word to make sure she doesn't walk away. You don't keep her by being perfect. You keep her by being unapologetically, unshakably, unmistakably you. She wants to be seen, not worshipped. And when she knows you see her as a woman, not an escape, not a fantasy, not a dream, you'll get the version of her no other man ever could. That's the shift. So ground yourself. Get off your knees emotionally. And walk side by side. Not behind, not beneath. She's not a goddess. And you're not a beggar. You're a man. Start acting like it. Now speak it out. Drop this in the comments if you've had enough of playing small. I walk beside her. If you've made it this far, it means something in you is ready to stop living in reaction and start leading with strength. This channel isn't for men who want shortcuts. It's for men who want clarity. Stoic clarity. So if that's you, subscribe now. Not for me, for you. so you don't lose this momentum. And if you're ready to go deeper past the surface, past the noise, join the Stoic Brotherhood, our members-only community where the real work begins. The link's below. Thanks for watching, for thinking, and for showing up like a man who's not afraid to evolve. I'll see you tomorrow.